Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ellie-Jean and today we are talking about Kibbe. Why? What's this got to do with me? Well, essentially I love talking about things I'm passionate about and fashion is one of them, and I approach fashion in a very similar way as I do my studying and my education. It's very sort of, let's break it down, let's figure it out, let's come up with some sort of system, because I think it makes life easier. Today we're talking theatrical romantic, which is what I am. I'm going to be trying on some of my clothes for you to kind of demonstrate what works for a theatrical romantic. I've been obsessed with this over the past couple of days. I've been watching lots of Merriam Style, that's where I learned about all of this. I've been doing the quiz, I've got my mum involved. I get really obsessed about things like this, I can't help it. So I thought I'd go through some of the typical characteristics of a theatrical romantic and kind of demonstrate that, and hopefully you'll find this kind of interesting if you're into Kibbe or style at all. I think this video could also be useful if you're not a theatrical romantic or if you're just kind of getting to know about Kibbe a little bit. So what is Kibbe? It's a man, first of all, who created this system for analysing your body type and creating outfits which honour your shape. It's quite a body positive kind of thing, so it's just saying, okay, it's kind of like breaking your body down into what it actually looks like, rather than being like fat is bad or being overly skinny is bad and you have to create symmetry and counteract these bits of your body, which is kind of what I feel like we're fed a lot. Kibbe is more honour the natural shape of your body and your natural lines and emphasize the way that your body naturally falls. For example, Keira Knightley is a dramatic, which is probably the most extreme yang, and Marilyn Monroe is a romantic, which is kind of on this other end. And it's all kind of defined by this amount of yang or amount of yin. So yin is this feminine energy and yang is this masculine energy, but it doesn't mean like you look like a man if you're on this end and you look like a woman if you're on this end. It's more like harsh lines, structure, geometry, oversized, baggy, kind of over here, whereas voluptuous, clingy, light, softness is all over here. So you get the gist. That's kind of the principle on which it's made. You're unlikely to come into like a clean one of these, so it goes dramatic, natural, classic, gamine, and then romantic, but then within those there are different subcategories. That was a very quick overview. I am a theatrical romantic, and if you're like me, that means you fall within the romantic category. You have a lot of roundness to you, but you have elements of sharpness underneath, so you have this yang undercurrent. It can get confusing if you just look at all the different types by themselves. I do recommend you do a test, because when I first started looking at it I was like, oh, I might be a gamine or I might be a soft natural, and until you do the test it's really hard to work it out, and I had to do some help with the test because it's sometimes hard to get a good understanding of your own visuals because you look at yourself all the time. So let me show you what I mean. I'm coming to you in a bikini. If this doesn't attract people to my channel, I don't know what will. I'm way too short for this. Tried to get you at chest level. No, I'm still too short. I'm still too short. I'm going to show you like all the different elements and like kind of explain it. So if we talk about my bone structure, so I think I have quite a short vertical line. Like I think my head is actually quite moderate. I think in general you'd look at me and think maybe I'm small for my size, or maybe I am small. Like I'm quite small, so it's quite hard to see if I'm like small for my size, but you do that by like, is your head slightly big in proportion to your body or moderate in proportion to your body. Shoulders you can see are sloped, but like they're not completely rounded, there's got slight structure to them. My limbs are where some of my yang comes in, so as you can see I've got quite long arms in comparison to my thighs. Hands and feet are very long, so as you can see I've got really long narrow fingers, for example, especially in comparison to my body. So for my bone structure I've got 2 D answers, and D is kind of known as the theatrical romantic answers on the Kibbe test, but I also have some yang in there. Now body flesh, most of mine are D, so as you can see I've got a lot of roundedness to the hips. Here got a little waist, a little bit of roundedness up here, and I've got quite fleshy arms, and it doesn't matter how much weight I gain or lose. Like for example, this is a picture of me in this very bikini from this time last year where I was about half a stone bigger, and you can see that I've maintained that kind of roundedness. Haven't gained it on the waist particularly. In contrast with my hips, it's kind of that same shape is kind of transferred. And then even if I am a bit skinnier, if we choose a picture of me from like 5 years ago, I still have that same kind of shape. So we can see that I've got a lot of roundedness to me, and I also have a lot of fleshiness, so I don't have like that muscularity to me at all that like defines Keira Knightley. And I want to stress again that like this stuff isn't like it's good or it's bad. The whole point of Kibbe is that it's body positive, so I'm not upset that I have fleshiness, I have fleshy skin, and that I've not got these really taut cheekbones and like the skin's not really tight to my flesh, because this is just how I am, and it's just part of like that roundedness that creates a romantic. Now I have a lot more yang in my face than a typical romantic. For example, I have these quite high cheekbones here, and I've got quite a moderate jawline. I don't have a really round face. I've got quite a rectangular, quite structured jaw, but not overly so. Like it's quite soft, but it's not got the roundedness. Everything else is quite yin though, so as you can see I've got these sort of chubby cheeks, got quite full lips, slightly rounded eyes but not particularly. Obviously I'm wearing makeup right now, so my eyes look bigger than they actually are, but yeah, predominantly I've got quite a predominantly yin features with this yang undercurrent, so that goes all the way through. I've only done this to demonstrate the point, this isn't even the video. So essentially, just to summarise that, a theatrical romantic is sort of smallish looking, may have some yang undercurrent, so has some structure to them, but is mostly yin, so mostly quite rounded, mostly quite fleshy and feminine in figure, with some of those masculine undercurrents. Clothing lines, therefore, would mimic this, so mostly you want to wear yin clothing, so flowy, highlights the hourglass figure, quite rounded shapes just everywhere you can, but then you can wear some things with angularity, so you really want tapering, like either at the wrists or the ankles or at the knee or something like that, and make sure to accentuate waist all the time. Another thing that highlights that yin, other than focusing on the roundedness, is also a sort of glamour and intricacy. This is what is the slight difference for a theatrical romantic. They can take a lot of like extravagance and glamorous things because it kind of honours that femininity, but it also takes that structured element. I thought these earrings that I have are perfect for a theatric romantic. They're very rounded, but they've got a lot of intricacy as well, and they've got that glamour. So if I put this on, first of all, they echo that shape of me, but they don't look like really in your face. They don't look like, whoa, she's got really big earrings on. They kind of just look like they blend in and just add a bit of glow to my face. Whereas if you were someone like Keira Knightley, something this earrings this rounded probably wouldn't work. They'd have to be quite long and dangly, if at all. And the diamonds again work because they've got that extra little bit of glamour, and my face can just take it. And I feel like I've been naturally drawn to this kind of thing before I even understood what Kibbe was. I think I'm going to show you the kind of things to avoid as a theatrical romantic in another video. Just as a quick summary, avoid things that are chunky, geometric, angular, things that are sort of wide and shapeless, that cover up the waist, things that are maybe too baggy. So you know, a lot of the advice is to wear sort of cigarette style trousers if you're a theatrical romantic, because it kind of emphasizes that waist and the hips but then comes in at the ankle. But because I've got quite long limbs, I think I, for example, can take trousers that have flares. That happens to be my yang undercurrent. You know, it's your body ultimately, and if it doesn't make you feel good, then what's the point? Avoid anything that's dull. For example, glowy. I've tried to wear quite glowy makeup today, kind of illustrate this point. Anything glowy will really suit that sort of roundedness that you have, so try and avoid anything matte and dull, anything symmetrical as well, anything too crisp. So I've tried to do my hair in quite a romantic style today, which was quite tricky because my hair's not been all that glamorous recently, but you should have quite glamorous hair that looks quite done up. The idea of this is when you wear your lines, it will accentuate you, and instead of feeling really girly like when you wear ruffles and stuff, you should feel very feminine, very sexy and very powerful if you're a theatrical romantic, because it will suit you. It won't look out of place on you. You shouldn't look more childlike in those things. You should feel more womanly. Again, if we just use Keira Knightley as an example, her in too many frills kind of looks out of place. It doesn't really fit on her body. I think that this dress that I found in my wardrobe is maybe a perfect dress for a theatric romantic, which explains why I've always felt so confident in it. And let me explain why. So first of all, it kind of accentuates the bust line, and then it comes in at the waist with this very clear waist belt, and then it has a peplum skirt, and peplum skirts and peplum blazers, peplum anything is really recommended for a theatric romantic, because it kind of has this, it comes in and then it goes out like that. So you can see how this looks super flattering on me. I don't look particularly childlike in it. I don't look like it's out of place. It looks like it very much just aligns with the contours of my body. I think this dress is another perfect example of a dress for a theatric romantic, because as you can see, again, it has this v-neck. It's not quite so defined at the waist, I would say. If I show you a little closer, like the waist is more like this, so it's not like, it still has that waist definition but not so much. But it does have, what it does have is this bodycon element, which is really flattering for all romantics actually. And then also, as well as that, it has all this detail, which as you can see on me doesn't even look like that much detail. It just kind of looks like it just sits there, and like it doesn't look particularly separate from me. It doesn't look like I'm trying something new. It looks like it just sits on me very naturally. I'm not going to keep showing you dresses, but I feel like dresses are perhaps the easiest way to demonstrate the different lines. So I think this dress, again, it would be perfect for a theatric romantic because it has lots of gathering. So you can see all this gathering here, so it's got lots of this sort of intricate sort of detail. It's also very bodycon, so again it emphasizes that hourglass waist. It doesn't particularly have any waist emphasis other than these ruffles, but you have the waist emphasis in the fact that it's bodycon. But as well as that, it has this like really great softness at the top, so all this roundedness would be perfect for any romantic really. Kind of emphasizes this chest line here. I also think the lush color is very theatric romantic. It's the kind of thing that they really recommend that you wear because it kind of catches the eye and emphasizes this feminineness, this femininity. This is another dress I'm going to show you, like, just, you can't really see it, but for context, like, it's completely ankle length. I think this is different from the first three that I showed you, because what makes this great for a theatric romantic is, first of all the little details. You can see all the little flowers are very feminine. It's tapered at the cuffs, which, as you can see, it kind of gives these baggy arms, which are quite draped and flowing, but then it cinches in at the arms, which kind of reflects that structuredness. It's got the v-neck, which is quite typical of a theatric romantic, and then if I come a bit closer, you can see these ruffles here, which emphasize the waistline, and it's just that little bit of extra detail, which takes us from like a really unflattering dress to something that's really perfect for a theatric romantic. And I like that it's also like ankle length just for me, because it copies the length of my arms and my legs, which are quite long. Like, that's where my yang undercurrent comes, so I'm emphasizing that with this dress. Okay, this is the last dress, because what if you don't like dresses? What if it's not your thing? I think that both of these pieces are perfect for a theatrical romantic. So bit by bit, let's talk about the skirt first. The skirt is really nice because it comes in at the waist, not as much as I would like. For me personally, I would probably need a belt, but if I wore a belt it would break up the lines of this outfit, and if you're a theatrical romantic you can get away with some of that gamine contrast, but like you should really avoid it, and you should have like very sort of, it should continue through to the top to the bottom. But the skirt is good because it emphasizes that hourglass shape. Like I say, it comes in at the waist. If I had a little, I just took it in about an inch at the waist, if I hold it. But I'm wearing it with this sort of oversized, very feminine top. So even though this is a very heavy material, which you should kind of avoid, because I'm wearing it with the chiffon, it looks really feminine and it really balances it out. This bow at the front adds ruffle detail, so it's instantly quite soft near my face. It's tapered at the wrists again, and then it's kind of balloony on the sleeve, so same as that dress as before. A good example of a more sophisticated look, so this is more of a day look. And as you can see, again, I don't look particularly frumpy in this. I don't look like overly girly. It just kind of, if anything, it looks quite womanly. So now I've gone with an interview style outfit, because I think this is the hardest thing to do for a theatrical romantic, because when you're going to a job interview you don't particularly want to look sexy and feminine necessarily. I feel like you could be really drawn to those dramatic lines, so like the really harsh blazers. This is something I've just put together which I think works quite well. This blazer is really soft, so the material has a sort of glow to it, which I think makes a difference. As you can see, The lapels are quite rounded rather than super harsh, and it's got a bit of drape and a bit of gather when I move, so I think it's a bit of a softer type blazer, and it kind of cinches in at the waist. I would prefer to wear this outfit not with a vest but with like a really clean white t-shirt, but if you've got your blazer on, it works for an interview. Just don't take your blazer off. But just so you can see what I mean, these are they're really nice quality, so they've got like this really nice texture on them. They're not supposed to be worn with a belt, but I've lost a bit of weight since I bought them, so, and I think the belt kind of works for what I'm trying to demonstrate. So you can see it's kind of tight on the top, so I'm emphasizing that waist and that hourglass. I feel like this is quite a Marilyn Monroe sort of look, and there's got peplum shape around here. My trousers aren't tapered at the bottom, they're more straight, which I think works more for my sort of body to not have it cling. If I show you the detail on the trousers, the detail on the trousers is perfect for a romantic because it has this sort of light peplumness around here that kind of goes out and emphasizes that waist. If you want something that's a little less feminine, for example when you're going to a job interview, something like this is good. So keeping it quite tight around your figure, or having it like quite loose but just emphasizing that hourglass, and then blazer wise just keep it quite loose fabrics, quite draped, but hopefully something that doesn't hide your waist. So having this belt I think underneath and keeping it so tight underneath, you can still see that theatric romantic body line. The only thing I would say is like maybe this is a bit harsh, but it's also slightly asymmetric, which is good for a theatric romantic as well. Like none of the lines on this I think are too harsh. Again, the cuffs are like really soft, so I think this outfit is perfect for a slightly sexier, less feminine theatric romantic. You could even like tone down the feminineness of the top if you wanted to. I just think it really works. Have these sort of big puffy sleeves, again look tapered at the elbows. They've got this real big roundedness to them, but it's quite fitted on the top. And then to counteract the roundedness of the top, I've got these sort of hourglass leather trousers on, which aren't that feminine because they've got that leather, that kind of rock and roll type. They have a shine to them, which is again what you want for a romantic, to kind of have that glow. So they're not this dull material, and they're so shapely, so they're really feminine. And then on top of this, as a coat, as an example, I don't know if this is a perfect theatric romantic coat. I mean, it's definitely not, because it does have a lot of structure to it, so it's a much more structured coat, but I still think it has elements, and I'm going to show you why if I can get it over my enormous sleeves. So I think this coat is really good for a theatric romantic because, as you can see here, it kind of goes into a peplum, so it does have that waist emphasis, and even though it is quite structured, the material is not that heavy. Like, it does have quite a lot of structure to it, which I think I personally can take, and it doesn't make me look too childish. And also the buttons are very round and glowy, so it has that intricate kind of detail, which is good for a theatric romantic. Like, this bit is probably too structured for the typical theatric romantic, but as you can see, it's really got this feminine shape. Oh, a mask! Where it's really structured, but it comes in at the waist and then has this peplum at the bottom. And I think if you contrast that with, again, these trousers, it's not such a feminine look as the others. It's got a lot more yang to it while still honouring that hourglass shape. So if it's not your thing to be quite so feminine and frilly, I think something like this could really work for you. This might be one of my favourite outfits that I think qualifies for theatric romantic. I think, in fact, any romantic could wear this because it is so loose and flowy. Why I think this really works is, first of all, like, yeah, it's so draped, but then you've got this waist definition with a belt, which then creates a little peplum, and peplums are so good. I really want to tie that back. So yeah, I think this little outfit works so well because it has this continuity to it, so that, you know, they're the same colour, the flow keeps going, but you've got this little peplum and this little waist. And obviously if you're a theatric romantic, kind of add some accessories, maybe to add some tapering or add some of that structure if you feel like you're missing it, but I don't think that you would be. I feel so confident in this. Oh, I think I might wear this today or tomorrow. Like, this is, ooh, I feel so amazing. And again, I saw Mila Kunis wearing something quite similar to this, not the same as the skirt. She had a very plain skirt, and this does have some geometric lines, which wouldn't be quite right. It's slightly maybe more appropriate for a gamine like Jenna Coleman, but I still think it works because it emphasizes the waist. It would be better if I hadn't, again, like an inch off it, so it did actually come in at the waist, which at the moment it doesn't. It's just slightly big. It needs about an inch, and that it's really flattering on the hips, kind of goes in. Like, I feel like A lines are not particularly flattering for me, but then yeah, to go with the hourglass shape, I have the soft drapeness of the shirt to counteract that, which adds more of the yin. Like, I feel like you're getting the gist now of those sorts of outfits. Okay, so that was me demonstrating my Kibbe type, which is theatrical romantic. If you're also a theatrical romantic and you'd like me to do more of these, I would be so happy to, because I find it so much fun. And if you want to know more about Kibbe, I really recommend Merriam Style. She's basically where I learned all of this stuff, and I find it insanely helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video if you've got this far, and subscribe because I make videos like this all the time. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.